there's actually a lot more trust put in the brand of a product than in the quality and the product features and all the other things. So that means that due to a somewhat lower experience in some categories of making repeat purchases, they put more trust in brands and are therefore also more open to learn about brands in social media. Whereas if let's look at mobile phones. When you buy your 8th mobile phone, as some of us in Hong Kong, or maybe your 16th mobile phone, brand's no longer that important. Right? If it's your first mobile phone in India, you're going to put a lot of trust in the brand of your first mobile phone. So that's an interesting way how culturally this openness to brands on social media can be explained.
Okay, so speaking to the geographic dispersion, some of the research suggests that in Asia, recommendations are a big part of our purchasing cycle, especially for the big items, etc. And of course, we know Asia is very big on mobile. So is SoLoMoCo perfect for Asia? And if so, do we expect to see the adoption just skyrocketing as a strategy, or is it's going to take some time? And what does that time look like, or is that even important?
Yeah,
to all the panelists, and of course, if anybody here wants to comment.
I think it's up to the ecosystem that's here in the room, probably the brands and the agencies together to innovate campaigns and products that really fulfill a need in a certain way. Because again, consumers are not asking for SoLoMoCo, and it's basically it's a marketing term, and we need to think about what are the deeper really consumer needs, and they go back to convenience, relevance you mentioned as well. Transparency is also a very important one in terms of some of the mobile apps that we see. Price comparison is basically about transparency of price options. And also entertainment, being entertained. So gamification, that is a really important need that you can answer by SoLoMoCo applications and tools. So I'd rather say to me it's more the means to fill the consumer need. That's SoLoMoCo, and yes, it's got a great future, and it's on us to kind of make that happen. Yeah.
Thanks. So, are there any experiences that you guys have had in terms of the companies you've seen either in this part of the world or a different part of the world that are using these strategies successfully? Some cool apps. Or at least, I was reading about things like Banjo as an app, and certainly everybody wants to be part of the whole SoLoMoCo campaign because that's where the tide is going. Have you guys seen anything interesting stuff that you're hearing about? Yeah? I'll bring the mic to you. Please.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of mobile app developers. There's a lot of excitement around that. And I saw one application that was being developed with this same model. And it was that they would show how to cook a certain type of meal. It was an Italian dish, many different Italian dishes. So you watch it, after the whole process is done, it looks pretty good, right? So from there, you can also share the video, but the ultimate goal is in the end that if you wanted to cook that dish, they had a shopping cart that has all the ingredients and it gets delivered to your door. And then obviously you use that video as your sort of like teacher to actually cook the dish. So I thought that was a very good way of promoting this. They were importing I guess Italian dried foods or whatnot. So you get all the spices, all the pastas, you just have to buy your meats and vegetables. But I thought that was a very good way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great example. It's a great example. And building on that then, we were talking about the role of technology. Because as companies are going to go in this direction, the question is going to become, well, who's going to do this, right? There's got to be a technology platform, right? There's got to be a marketing team. There's got to be marketing budget. You've got to be in front of the CFO explaining that, it is measurable and you're going to succeed to that. In terms of, so are we at that stage, you guys think, where each company sort of on its own, where Neiman Marcus has built an application, that I was reading about, that when a customer is coming in, they can use Neiman Marcus app to tell one of the associates, and they can choose which associates they want to work with, that they're coming in, what they're looking for. The associate can send the pictures, so the customer can do the work, at home, and then come into the shop and do that. Walgreens, which is defined as a pharmacy, perhaps, yeah, no, is a pharmacy, also in the U.S., a very big pharmacy. They have developed similar applications as well. What I'm trying to understand is that, are we at that stage that these are large companies at sort of their own, or are we seeing technology platforms that are emerging? Because to do all of these, and to do acquisition and to do customer engagement, will require some serious technology platform. They may be enablers, they may be at the back as they should be, where the customer is the king, and what does customer want? I like your term you're saying, well, the customer is really not looking for SoLoMoCo, right? They're looking for convenience, they're looking for price comparison, they're looking for, have my friends tried something like this or not? But to make it all happen, Facebook's gonna go so far. What do companies to do? Any views on that? Shall we start with the technology companies, Microsoft? Adam, your view?
Well, I guess my view is, I think to enable some of these solutions, I think there's going to need to be a different mix of service companies that are going to be involved in eventually delivering the solution to the marketer. A lot of agencies can't do this on their own today. They can have the ideas, they can think about the connected way that different media and communications plans will come together to realize the overall campaign objectives, but enabling some of the experiences will require some technology implementation that a lot of these agencies may not have today. Therefore, it'll require a lot of agencies or marketers to extend out to a new kind of service provider that they may not have had to work with in the past. We're experiencing this real time today because we have some technology that we're helping marketers start to use. It's being used in Europe and the US right now, and we've got a couple customers here in Hong Kong that are actually trialing this. It's using, it's a version of the Co and Lo of SoLoMoCo, but it extends into social as well. Basically, the experience is in some kind of retail environment, how to create more engagement with the customer and allow that to the in-store experience to connect to a social experience that creates an ongoing connection with that customer. That was one objective that these retailers are having. The second was in Hong Kong, where real estate is so expensive, and a lot of retailers are paying these enormous rents for these ground floor retail spaces that literally 70% of the day is not used, or 70% of the day or night, because the store is closed and the lights are off. How do they get more value out of that storefront and potential presence in front of passersby? So we're using some technology. How many of you know of something called Connect? Connect is a digital sensor that connects. It originally was introduced to the market connected to Xbox 360, the Microsoft gaming console. And Xbox is essentially a sensor that recognizes natural human interface, which means it recognizes gestures. So you can imagine standing in front of a Connect about 3 feet away and moving your hands, and it recognizes your whole body image and will create an avatar image of you on the screen, and it will allow you to interact and control the device or have some kind of interactive experience. The uses are obvious in gaming, but there's a lot of other uses as well. So we've recently introduced Connect for Windows, which means you can connect a Connect to a Windows PC, and that on that PC you can have an application that you could design for a retailer that allows them to create an experience to interact with the consumer. And we have a company that we're working with called Bodymetrics. This company is already has some of these Connect experiences set up in Selfridges, which is one of the largest department stores in the UK. And in London, you can go in there, stand in front of Connect, put in a little bit of information into the PC. It will scan your body, and you rotate around a couple times, and it will give you your dimensions pretty accurately. And then it will make recommendations to you in terms of the types of jean brands that might be best for you based on your women's profiles. Sometimes dictates certain brands are good and some are not. And we'll actually store the information for you. So when you go back into the store, or if you want to send it to yourself through email, you can do that, so you have a record of all your dimensions. The second thing that allowed them to do is have a social element of that. So they could connect that out onto their Facebook wall to share the latest fashion, the latest trend of jeans, or the latest blouse that they like, that they actually tried on, and they can literally, a digital image of this merchandise will look attached to your digital picture, and you can actually show someone that you're actually virtually wearing it. But it allowed to create this engagement, and it allowed them to explore that and then have an ongoing connection with the retailer. In Hong Kong, we're working with a bank, one of the leading banks here. They're really trying to enhance the engagement and connection with their very top-end clients. So think about your premium consumer base. And they invest a lot of money in this real estate of having these branch locations for their kind of wealth management clients. And they wanted to create an experience that will then connect them and give them an opportunity to register an email and have an ongoing connection so they can get them back into the branch. Because their research shows anytime one of those wealthy clients walks into a branch, the bank benefits. They do something. So the goal was to have a way of engaging with them once in a rich way and bringing them back consistently. The point here, though, each of those solutions required some technology enablement, and that required these marketing agencies that were advising the clients that we were working with to really work with some companies that they really had never had to connect with before. You know, in the technology world, we call them solution providers, that they had to do a little bit of application development work, do some customization to make it relevant for that brand, which is great. But it had to be incorporated into a little bit of a new working model for some of the agencies. But sometimes, because it was made so relevant, the brand got so much more value out of it that the return was considered quite favorable.
Oh, I like your the body metrics example. I think even from e-commerce sites, you can connect those pieces and you can shop at home. Chad, from your perspective, when you go to clients, right, in this realm of things, what do you guys bring to the table, right? Do you do, say, services, technology, the whole thing, and how do you add value? And where are you at that stage in terms of where are you finding customers in terms of their thinking?
So I would say on the whole sort of SoLoMoCo, angle, it's really at its nascent stage in the States, and a lot of that has to do with some of the lagging trends on real deep mobile adoption compared to Asia, for example. And there's a sort of an ongoing joke among us in the marketing community where every year the industry trades say, okay, give us your prediction for what's the next thing that's going to happen next year. Like, we're done saying that it's mobile, right? It's like every year we're like, mobile, and needless to say, I work with a lot of mega brands and their mobile strategies. There might be some ideas for mobile activation, but a sort of real rich, heavy, detailed mobile strategy that would include the commerce angle and all of the facets of it, it's still maybe a little bit of a ways off. I would answer the question maybe on the flip side of what Adam said, which is that our responsibility